No, just myself and you guys. But that's okay. It'll be recorded. So, Hound Dog True. Dun, da, da, da. We're going to get a few chapters done today. We are on chapter 3, which is page 12. That afternoon, Maddie takes something shiny silver out of her bureau, which is like a big dresser, carries it to Uncle Potluck's rock ledge out on the rise. It is shady there now, but most of the day the rock has kept company with the sunshine, and the day heat has soaked up into it. Maddie lies down flat on the rock, feeling the warmth of it on her belly. She places the silver thing in front of her. It is a notebook. A silver notebook with creamy white pages stitched into it, the kind a person would have to work real hard to tear a page out of. It was a gift from Mama, given 2 weeks ago on the very day that she said they'd be moving again. I thought you might want to write your feelings in it, Mama had said, but right off, Maddie knew that book was too fine for feelings. She didn't write stories anymore, not since Star. Maddie didn't tell Mama that, though, just said thank you. Now, turns out she did have something worth writing in the silver book. Maddie Breen, custodial apprentice, she writes. Her stomach flutters, same as Mama's fingers. This is how it feels to make a plan. There are laws, Maddie knows. There are laws that says she has to be in a classroom and learn fractions and spelling and survival of the fittest. But there are not laws about going outside at recess time, and there are not laws about where to sit at lunchtime. And there are not laws that say you have to show up at the exact time everybody else does and jostle around in the coat room. You could go earlier. Your coat doesn't have to be with everybody else's coat. It could have its own pegs someplace else. And your boots could rest someplace else too. If you are helpful to somebody, really, truly helpful, apprentice-like helpful, you could probably go help that person during all those lawless times. So lawless times are when like there's not exactly rules or procedures. It's just kind of like recess. It's like a lawless time. It's not, so structured like sitting at your desk and stuff like that. Maddie turns the page. She runs her fingers down the center stitches. Her stomach flutters again. Custodial wisdom, she writes. Underneath, she writes all the things she's learned about custodial safety and being prepared mostly. Like how as soon as you're done vacuuming, you're supposed to pull the plug from the socket and wind the cord up snug so nobody trips on it. And how before you can do any mopping, you have to set out the yellow caution pyramid. There's a stickman on the pyramid, like the one on Uncle Potluck's ladder, except this stickman has one leg up in the air and his arms flung with little motion parentheses. Like he's lost his footing, Maddie thinks, except he doesn't really have any feet, just round spots at the end of his legs. Makes sense he'd slide. She doesn't write the footless part in her notebook, just the serious part about putting out caution pyramids and mopping, and how when you're all done, you have to look back and make sure you didn't miss a spot or leave puddles orphaned anyplace. Either was an indication of faulty professionalism, Uncle Potluck said. Maddie writes that down too. Faulty professionalism. She will not be a faulty professional. She will spend the next 4 days writing and learning and being professional next to Uncle Potluck, proving herself worthy to be a true custodial apprentice, proving how once school starts, he should keep her by his side instead of making her go to lunch or recess or be with whatever wild kids might be at Mitchell P. Anderson Elementary. That is Maddie's plan. 4 days of proving. And then on Sunday, or maybe Saturday, she'll talk to Uncle Potluck about it. Apprentice to custodian. And on Monday, she'll be able to introduce herself to her new class just fine. I'm Maddie Breen, a custodial apprentice. She can hear herself saying this bold and friendly, standing in front of the blackboard, sees and hears it so much that she does not see or hear anything else, does not hear someone else coming up the rise towards her, is not ready when the voice stabs out. What are you writing? Maddie feels herself spring from the rock, spill to the grass, scramble upright. Out of the side of her eye, she sees a flash. Her silver notebook turning in the air, pages exposed, falling to the ground. A hand reaches for it, but Maddie grabs faster. Mine! She shouts, but only in her head. Thump, 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 thump. The thump of her heartbeat matching the thud of her feet on the ground, already running down the rise. Her head saying stop and stupid and baby, but she does not stop because her head is also saying too late now and too late now and too late now. Until she is in the house with the door shut solid behind her, sliding down to sit, her notebook pressing to her thump, 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 thumping heart. Chapter 4. These are nice short little chapters. Thump, 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 thump. Maddie peeks out the kitchen window, looks past the garden and up the rise. There was a girl out there, a tall girl, a teenage looking girl, standing by Uncle Potluck's rock, holding a yellow toolbox, staring down the rise to the porch door, thinking probably what a crazy baby person she had seen disappear behind it. What is it, Maddie May? Have we got martyrers again? Uncle Potluck is standing at the stove, stirring something tomato smelling in a tall white pot. Martyrers? Asked Maddie. Uncle Potluck taps his spoon on the pot rim. Martyrers, he says. Villains, pirate, plunderers of booty, profiteers set on thieving our valuables. Are they out there again? Maddie turns her eyes back to the window. The teenage-looking girl is walking around the rock, looking at the yard from one angle, then another. There's a girl out there, Maddie says. Does she have a peg leg, he says, and Maddie can't help laughing. No, she does not have a peg leg. He wipes his brow, plain relief. Probably just Crystal's niece, then, he says. Crystal Sweet rents the house out back. Always she's asking Uncle Potluck to check on her thermostat or look at her pies, but really what she wants is for him to come look at her. Miss Sweet is sweet on Uncle Potluck, Mama says. Crystal's called while you were outside asking where my awesome niece Maddie was because her awesome niece Quincy had come to visit. Uncle Potluck said was of the opinion that you two girls should hang out together. Hang out? Thump, thump, thump. She proposed that the two of you hang out. Yes, awesomely, said Uncle Potluck. Out at the rock, that girl, that Quincy, has set her toolbox down. She's fiddling with the latch. Maddie cannot tell if she's awesome, but she knows that Quincy is not young. She looks like she's wearing a bra. Maddie crosses her arms over her notebook and presses it to her chest. I can't hang out right now, she says, not with a teenage bra girl like Quincy Sweet, who was right now staring down the rise again. Right now, probably thinking about how not awesome and not teenage Maddie is. Uncle Potluck nods. Okay, Maddie May, he says. You do what you need to do. I, for one, am simply relieved to know the yard is not full of martyrers. I will sleep easier, knowing our valuables are safe and secure. Maddie pulls her eyes from Quincy Sweet. Safe and secure. Maddie will sleep easier tonight, too. All right, so obviously Maddie's a little bit of a... Sorry, I keep on getting emails. Maddie is a little bit of kind of like a chicken. She just saw this person she doesn't know and she ran away. And won't even go talk to her because, she looks older than me. Maddie's only in 5th grade. She thinks this girl's like a teenager. Can't go talk to her. Even though, does she really have anything else to do? No. She's got nothing else to do. Always, Maddie has been shy. Always school had made her feel skittish and small. Always, it had taken a while to warm up to things, to people. But most nights she had slept easily until 4th grade. Until Star. Maddie had talked to her once, said just one word in the coat room behind the cinder block wall in the back of Miss D'Angelo's classroom. Maddie was sitting on the bench, half hid by winter coats, switching her recess boots for shoes. Star didn't see her, wasn't looking for her. Star was looking in coat pockets and backpack, slipping change out of them, putting that change in her own pocket. So that means that this Star girl was doing what? She's going through people's pockets? Stealing. Yeah, she was stealing. And Maddie's witnessing it, but she's kind of hidden. Maddie watched Star come to her own backpack, watched her pull the zipper around and down, watched her reach deep inside and find no change. Saw her find Maddie's yellow notebook, private written on it, big and red. Maddie turned to stone, watching Star turn pages, hearing her say words out loud. No bad outrun. Star said some words in sound out way. Afraid. For afraid. Castly instead of castle. Star was reading Maddie's stories. She was holding Maddie's notebook open flat in one hand and the other hand pointing down at the lines, turning pages, reading Maddie's words. She knows, Maddie thought. Thought what Star knew Maddie couldn't say exactly. Something important was all something true. Maddie held her breath and waited for Star to look up at her in the coat room, waited for Star to seat her, to read her stories, and really see her, and for everything to be different after that. She'd give Maddie some of the coins she'd stole, maybe, or ask Maddie would she share her lunch so she didn't have to steal coins anymore. Take, go. Red Star. She stopped, looking sideways at the page. Agree? She sounded out. Ogre. That was Maddie's voice. Star saw Maddie then, saw her for a second, and then looked on through her, fist clenching Maddie's storage page, tearing it from the others, letting it drop to the floor with winter boots, melted snow stuck up into it, and turned it dark. Or agree, she said. She turned another page and dropped it too, and another until the floor was thick with pages and the notebook nothing left but a twist of wire and the private cover. Star shoved that back into Maddie's backpack. Agree, Star said. It became the magic word. Agree, agree, agree. Star grew bigger and bigger until she touched the ceiling and filled the coat room, and Maddie knew Star could swallow her whole. That's not very nice. So Star, not nice. She read Maddie's stories, and then she ripped up her notebook. Chapter 6. That night it rains. There is no moon. Maddie puts her pajamas on, which she can do in the dark. She does not need to see pajamas. She knows they are pale green with skinny stripes on them, and that there are 3 little mouse-shaped buttons, eeny, meeny, and miny. The last button hole stays empty. Mo is long lost. Poor Mo, Maddie says. The bedroom she is in used to be Mama's when she was a girl. The furniture had been changed around since then. But soon as they moved here, Mama put it back the way it used to be, sliding the bed under the window and pushing the bureau to the far wall. Once the bed got in place, Maddie had hopped up on it and sat cross-legged, watching Mama put the rest of the room to rights. Best to get out of the way once Mama gets going, Maddie knew. Maddie sits on her knees now, looking outside at the moonless night. There is still some light out there. Miss Sweet has the night off from hospital work, and her orange car is spotlighted in the rental house driveway. A blue square shimmering in her living room window. Probably she and Quincy are watching TV. Probably some teenage show Maddie has never seen. There is a light in Maddie's ceiling, too, shiny round through the pinky-sized hole. When Mama first got this room, her big brother, Sonny, Roy, Tommy, and Potluck had shared the room above. They had drilled a hole in her ceiling, pushed a string down through it, and tied a can on each string end. The idea was the boys could talk into one can on one end and Mama could listen on the other, or Mama could talk and the boys could listen. Never really worked right, Mama said. Nobody ever stopped talking long enough to know if you could hear anything. Now it is Mama above and Maddie below. Both of them are quiet. Mama was not quiet at supper. Said Quincy Sweet is almost 12, just a year older than Maddie, really, and doesn't know anyone in town, just like Maddie doesn't, and can't stay alone in that house when Crystal goes to work the night shift at the hospital tomorrow, just like Maddie wouldn't want to should Mama have to work nights. And doesn't Maddie want to have a sleepover with Quincy? Mama's hands had sat still on the table. Maddie checked. No piccolo fingers, no plans being made. Wouldn't be too much of a disappointment if Maddie said no. So she did. No, thank you, she said. Quincy looks older than 12. She probably knows lots of sleepover things that Maddie doesn't. Knows things you are supposed to talk about and things that aren't. Maybe Quincy is the kind who come over and change into her pajamas right in front of you, and then you'd have to do the same. No sleepovers. Besides, Maddie has other things to do. She has decided she will not only write her custodial wisdom notes, she will memorize them. Then, should anything happen to her notebook, she will be ready. Maddie gets the silver notebook from the bureau top, flicks on a flashlight she borrowed from the kitchen drawer, holds the book close, whispers her words back into the pages. Do not let mop sit overnight in water. Rinse twice, wring out. Let dry in the sun. Sometime during her whispering, Mama's light goes out above. Even Miss Sweet's TV light goes black. She should rest, Maddie tells herself. Rest up for tomorrow. Quiet. She lifts her pillow, slides the notebook snug underneath. Safe. She pulls the covers up. Imagine the custodial wisdom in her notebook rising up like the heat from Uncle Potluck's rock, rising through the pillow and into her head, filling her up with everything she needs to know. Uno más, or should we stop? one more. Chapter 7. Uno más means one more, by the way. Más means more in Spanish, and uno means one. There are teachers at school today. Maddie did not think there would be. Not yet, anyways. Thought maybe teachers would show up when school started next week. Thought she and Uncle Potluck would have Mitchell P. Anderson and Elementary to themselves. The teachers stop by authorized personnel asking about Uncle Potluck's summer, laughing when he tells them about the prize-winning fish he caught in the backyard puddle, or how in July he had visited a barbecue joint in Franklin County and met the Queen of England. Dainty thing, that queen. Ate spare ribs with her gloves on, he says. Hound dog, true. Some of the teachers tell story, though most tell them skinny and pale, finishing quick, so Uncle Potluck would have time to tell another. Some of them talk about janitorial issues, class windows that won't budge, and furniture needs moving. Maddie writes those parts down in her notebook, filling up a whole page with things that need doing. And who is this? The teachers ask. Maddie keeps her face to the notebook page, but she knows they mean her. Uncle Potluck knows too. Say, this is my niece, Maddie May. She'll be starting in Paula's class next week. And they say welcome, and too bad Paula won't be here until Friday, and it's nice to meet you. And Maddie says, thank you. They favor sneakers, the teachers do, most of them wearing white ones with blue or pink trim. One teacher, a man, wearing flip-flops. He has hair on his toes. Maddie is glad she will not be in his class. Seems wrong to know your teacher has hair on his toes. Every teacher who stops by says how lucky Uncle Potluck is to have a helper, and every time he says they are right, then a pair of high heels click up to authorized personnel doorway. I see you're a writer, the high-heeled person says. Maddie's heart thumps. How does she know? And not anymore at the same time. I used to carry a notebook when I was your age. I wrote a great many stories in it. Maddie May, says Uncle Potluck. This is Principal Bonnet. Maddie waits for Uncle Potluck to say more, but he does not. We are very glad you'll be joining us this year, Maddie, says Principal Bonnet. I tried to have lunch with each of our new students. Maybe you could read me some of your stories then. Maddie shakes her head at the shoes. I don't have stories. Principal Bonnet doesn't say speak up or louder or come on. She just stands there a while, like Maddie's words are taking their time getting over to her. She imagines that. Maddie does. A picture of so strong that she looks up to check, half expecting to see her words floating cloud-like in the air. It's Principal Bonnet. Principal Bonnet is shorter than she looks in the principal portrait. In the picture, her eyes are crinkled edges, and one of her hands is resting under her chin, but now both her hands are cupped in front of her and filled with doorknobs. Robert. The painters took these off when they did the offices, but they forgot to put them back on. Could you? Robert is Uncle Potluck. That takes Maddie a second to remember. Yes, he says. When would be convenient? He sounds funny, and Maddie turns to look at him. He's standing formal, his hat wheeling in his hands. Anytime. It's not urgent, Principal Bonnet says. Though, if you'd prefer to work without me getting in your way, you could try Thursday. I'll be in a staff meeting in the morning, and the office will be empty. Thursday morning. Uncle Potluck does not laugh or say that Thursdays are usually when he trains circus lions. He just says, Thursday morning. Principal Bonnet clicks inside authorized personnel just far enough to hand Uncle Potluck the doorknobs. He has to put his hat on before he can take them away, and he does it quickly, landing it sideways. He'd like to adjust it, Maddie thinks, but he can't with his handful of doorknobs. I look forward to our lunch, Maddie, stories or not, Principal Bonnet says, and away she clicks down the hall. It is a strange quiet in authorized personnel. Like rather than leaving doorknobs, Principal Bonnet took something with her when she left. Uncle Potluck drops the doorknobs onto his desk, sits. The director of custodial arts chair squeaks under him. So, he says, filling up the quiet in the room. Distracting day, this one. Makes it difficult for a man of janitorial disposition to concentrate on the multitude of tasks at hand. What was I about to do? Maddie checks her notebook. Third grade windows? She says. Uncle Potluck raises an eyebrow. You've been taking notes? Maddie nods. May I see? Mama had asked to see Maddie's old yellow notebook once, but had turned her mind to something else before Maddie could show it to her. She hadn't shown it to Mrs. D'Angelo either. Star had read it, but Maddie had never shown it to anyone. Maddie sets her janitorial notebook on the desk, turns it so Uncle Potluck can see the list of things that needs doing. And he looks so pleased she shows him the other pages too. Notes about toilets and fire alarms and how many classrooms are in the school. Shows Him a page she wrote while he was checking his emails about how the whole school was dark silent this morning until Uncle Potluck jingled his keys in the door and flipped on the lights, how he checked all the hallways and warmed up singing the Elquians escape, da doo doo doo, and even with his traitor's knee dancing a few steps in each hallway. Maddie does not show him the front page, the one where she had written Maddie Breen and Custodial Apprentice underneath. Not yet. Uncle Potluck rubs his chin. I shall have to watch myself now that I know you're recording our custodial endeavors for posterity. What is posterity? Maddie asks. Uncle Potluck pulls a dictionary off the shelf marked wisdom and hands it to her. Posterity and future generation. Maddie looks up custodial too. It doesn't say anything about doorknobs or mopping or leaky pipes. It says care or supervision rather than effort to cure, and guarding or maintenance. Maddie thinks the idea of caring for the school. Maddie likes the idea of caring for the school, of guarding it, making it safe. Uncle Potluck picks up his tools. You coming, Maddie May? Just a second. Maddie says, doorknobs, she writes. Thursday, she writes, safe and square. All right, so we read from page 12 all the way to page 34. We will pick up next time on chapter 8.